welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And today we're talking about Alex Garland's new movie, Civil War. But first, did you like anything this week?
Yeah, there's a few things because, like, we did see this movie. Like, we both saw it opening weekend. You saw it opening day. I saw it, like, that same weekend.
And then I got the plague.
And you got the plague, so we were a little delayed on the recording. But yeah, there's a few things I'll highlight. Shogun, the show finished its run. I really enjoyed it. It was on Disney Plus / FX. And yeah, it was really good. Like I was saying, I've brought it up a couple times, filmed locally and in the Lower Mainland. So there's a lot of nice beauty shots where I'm like, hey. But I really liked it. I haven't read the book in a long time. So there's obviously some differences, but nothing really bothered me. Everything followed logically. The only thing that I was kind of curious is that were they planning on doing more of the show? But the way it ended, I don't think it is, because it ended very similarly to the book.
Mm.
Where it kind of like the main character kind of gives his arching plan and just how things are kind of going to fall into place and work out and blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of like the same way the show ends. But yeah, it was really good production value. I enjoyed it. And it was just neat to see a show set in that ancient Japan style thing where it was all Japanese people. And
nice.
They're speaking Japanese the entire time, except for when it's like the two characters talking in Portuguese, which they just spoke in English so that we could understand as the audience. Right? But
no.
No, but like I said, that was cool. So I enjoyed that. And let's see here. I finished so I'm a big Robotech guy. Mm-hmm. I've enjoyed Robotech, and I've always known but never like fully understood how there actually is a big difference in Japan and in North America or / the rest of the world about what Robotech is Robotech. So I watched a show, basically, long way to say, called Macross Zero. It's from 2002, and that one's from Japan because in Japan, Robotech is actually called Macross, and it's developed its own whole storyline separate from everything else.
Oh.
Because everything else we got, aside from the first season, was like Power Ranger style. They just took the footage, redubbed it, and then made it Robotech, right? And so, anyway, this is kind of like it's a prequel show to the original series. One thing I didn't kind of like about it was that it's from 2002, so it's a mix of hand-drawn and CG. And the CG elements, I'm like, no, just make it hand-drawn, man.
Yeah.
But that's an old man complaint. But I also didn't like some of the. I also didn't like some of the the way the tech was kind of done, because in the show, the original Robotech, the first season of Macross, it's like, oh, these planes are all new and experimental and blah blah blah. But in this prequel show, they were like using way cooler shit and doing way cooler stuff. But that's just the march of our own technology. Anyway, so there was just a potential balance there that they kind of went a little skewed on, but it was pretty cool to see. It was very short. It was like 8 episodes, just like a small thing. And let's see here. Let's talk about a couple books I read. I read the last book of the Phase 1 of the High Republic. That's the Star Wars High Republic, where, the Jedi are all powerful and etc. And it was funny because it's the trilogy. And I thought, since it was the end of Phase 1, like the villain that they'd introduced, I thought it was going to be like finished. Wasn't finished. And I was kind of like, oh man. So I know Phase 2 was more prequel stuff, so I'll wait and read the Phase 3 books, I think, because they pick up back the story. But one thing that's funny is that because it was designed to be like, these 3 main books, and then there's comics and there's YA novels and children's books and etc., like a big media expanse thing, that it seems more cynical when I'm reading the book and they're like, this character's off doing this. And I'm like, so I have to read something else now to understand what they're doing? And I'm just like, ah. Whereas, in the past, it didn't seem as cynical or calculated, where they're like, oh, they're just off screen doing something. And you're like, all right, whatever. But now it's like specifically mentioned. And I'm like, well, that sounds cool. Like, why aren't you telling me about it? Yeah, basically. So yeah, there's that a little bit of that cynicism there in that. But yeah, it was decent overall. It was kind of interesting just because it's meant to be like when they're at their height, but then they start to like crumble, and so these bad guys, which they're kind of like, the reason they're against the Jedi is just, hey, we want to have, like, they're not pirates per se, but that's how they start. But then they're just like, stay out of our space. And then they're like, but then at the end, the guy's like, I'm going to rule the galaxy. And I'm like, what is, someone tell us his plan at some point, because then I can understand better his motivations. It's always vague. But you get his POV and he's like, I will get my revenge. And you're like, for what? What happened? Never told. And I'm just like, okay. So anyway, that's a little frustrating about that. But anyway, this next book I read, though, is pretty cool. It's called Tau Zero. And I don't know how to pronounce this person's name. It's like Poul, like Poul.
Okay.
Anderson. But it's not Paul. I double checked because I was like, oh, is it Paul? No. So, yeah, I don't know. But it's a sci-fi book, and it's about a spaceship that they're leaving from Earth to go to another planet to set up science colonies and potentially colonize it. And it's going to be like a 5-year mission. And they have like the ability, they have something called like a Bussard drive. And so they can approach light speeds to get quicker, right? Because otherwise it'll take like a bajillion years. Something goes wrong. There's like some damage and stuff like that. And then they're like, oh, we can't stop. And I was like, immediately, sci-fi person, I knew exactly where this story was going. But it was still pretty cool because, like, spoilers for Tau Zero here coming up, is like they can't stop. And so, like, with the Tau
Can they not stop because there's a bomb on board that if they slow down past 80 miles an hour?
Then they just... No, just like their braking mechanism is broken, essentially. And like the Tau factor is like, as they get closer to the speed of light, like in our universe, when things get closer to the speed of light, they get heavier. Their mass increases. Like their mass doesn't increase, but like how much they weigh sort of increases and how it affects things. That's why things can't get to the speed of light, because their mass goes to infinity. Anyway, the sci-fi thing here is that their Tau is to like counteract that. So then they can still move through things, and they're going to get bigger, but not get, infinite mass. Anyway, they're like, oh, what we can do is we can like go through our galaxy in between another galaxy, and then that should have like, there'll be no more energy coming in, and then we can slow down at least a little bit, fix our shit, and then continue on and like figure out. And I'm like, this ship can't stop. And so I knew it was like, you're gonna have to go around the universe and then come back around, which is what they do. They go around the universe to like the end and the Big Bang, and then they get it. So it was kind of cool. Anyway, it was just kind of fun. Just a neat kind of like journey of just, some of the characters kind of go a little mad and, lose hope. And then there's like the one cop guy character who's just like, we're going to survive. And everyone's like, no, it's hopeless. And he's like, we're going to do it, you bastards. But it was a neat read. Very short. It was like 270 page count or something like that. Just kind of a neat little sci-fi thing. And I read a comic. It's an old comic. I read the 20th anniversary edition. It's called Kingdom Come. It's a Superman Justice League comic. And it's done by Mark Waid and Alex Ross. And Alex Ross is the comic illustrator who does like watercolor style like paintings.
Oh, cool.
I'm sure you've seen his stuff. Like his stuff's very famous. All his stuff looks like Renaissance paintings. And
that's really cool.
Yeah, it doesn't work as well for like action, because his action looks very static. But then it also does look like a Renaissance painting. So you're just like,
fair enough.
Yeah. But it's basically, it's a story where Superman, later in his career, somebody else killed the Joker. And he was like, hey, that was bad. He should stand trial. That guy gets off the trial, like, because everyone's like, nah, it was the Joker. It was totally fine. And then so he was like, I'm not like, I'm not the paragon of this world anymore. And so he retreats to the Fortress of Solitude, essentially, and leaves.
Oh, so he's a hissy fit?
A little bit. But then the story picks up, decades later, where it's like the younger generation of superheroes, they've beaten all the villains and they're just fighting each other. And they don't care about civilian casualties, and they're running amok. And so Wonder Woman and a few other people try to convince Superman, hey, you got to come back, which he does. And then, there's some twists and turns, and Batman joins with like the League of the Legion of Doom to basically like infiltrate them because he's all old and like in a mechanical suit to keep him walking and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's an older comic, like I said. I'm sure you could find a copy at a library probably. And but yeah, it was worth the read. And then the last thing I'll mention is I finally finished up Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. That's the pirate one, hence the name.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good fun. I haven't played Assassin's Creed 3, which was like the Revolution one, like the American Revolution one, I think. And so I don't know if in that one they were trying to set up, because many of these games always has like, the outside wraparound story where it's like in the future and, things are weird and sci-fi-ish or whatever. So in this one, at one point, your character outside of the piracy stuff, he goes to like a server and then like an AI being shows up and then was supposed to try to take over your body, but it didn't work. And then this other guy's freaking out about it. And I was like, was this introduced in Assassin's Creed 3? Or I just don't remember this. But aside from those elements, yeah, it was pretty fun stuff. Just sailing around, shooting some cannons and taking the plunder and killing some people and bad guys and etc. Nice. The funniest thing about it was, because I think they've learned over time, is that, there's no final boss in a sense to kill. Like, you're not going to have, like, you fight the big mech or something like that, right? So the final fight was, there's a bunch of soldiers, you take them on, and then you have to, like, parkour your way around this facility that's, like, got some fire and stuff like that, and then assassinate this dude. But, like, the going around through the facility with the fire was literally harder than anything else I had done in the game. Like, it was not hard, it was harder than any fight. It was just because it was just annoying, because the mechanics are, they're meant to be easy. Just hold the one button, your guy does like parkour, right? But then sometimes you're like, no, don't jump to the left, jump to right, and then he's just like into the fire, and I'm like, oh my god, guy.
Did they make a movie out of that series, or did I imagine that?
No, they did make a movie.
Was it Michael Fassbender or something?
It was. He also produced it.
Oh, weird.
He was like all in on the project, thought it was going to really do well. And it's unfortunate because watching the movie, there's some cool stuff in there. But it's like, again, it's sort of ruined by this outside plot that isn't really explained.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're going to do these transitions, I don't know. Like, it's long too. Very, very long. It's like 220 or something like that. So that's kind of a downer part about it. But it has like him, Marion Cotillard is in it. What's his name? People who have done in just tons of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, good cast. Jeremy Irons is in it. Like, makes a small
Jeremy Irons is in everything.
Yeah, he makes a small couple appearances. I don't know. I've rewatched it recently and I'm like, yeah, it's decent, but it could have been better.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, Assassin's Creed 4 was pretty good. I've played not all the Assassin's Creed games, but I played a bunch of them. I think Odyssey was really good, because that one you're going around like fictionalized Greece and you fight like, like the Gorgon and the Minotaur and all sorts of cool stuff.
That's cool.
Right? Yeah, so that one was pretty good.
Sorry, apologies if I'm yawning. It's not because I'm bored. It's because I've been up since like 5:30 this morning.
Sure, and Black Flag, pretty boring.
Yo.
But yeah, that's it for me. What about yourself, Devin? Anything you want to highlight?
Let's see. Well, I've been doing a lot of school, which is why I was up at 5:30 in the morning. I did. Oh, I rewatched The Night Manager. Have you ever seen that?
I don't think so.
With Tom Hiddleston and Hugh Laurie.
No.
And Elizabeth Debicki.
No, definitely haven't seen it.
It's so good. You'd love it. It's a spy movie.
Oh.
Olivia Colman's in it. Or a spy show. Sorry, it's a show. There's like 8 episodes.
Right.
And I don't want to say too much about it because it spoil it, but it's a very tense, like, just great show about like arms dealing and stuff like that.
What's it on? Well, like, what service?
Oh, Prime.
Oh, okay, cool.
And they're making a season 2 apparently.
Ah.
Yeah. Which was funny because it came out like 8 years ago. But I'm surprised you haven't seen it because I think you'd be really into it. It has like, it's like a smarter Born series almost, but not. Anyways, just go watch it because you'll like it.
Sure. No, and like, because I've missed like tons of shows, like, because I never watched like the Hannah show, which
No,
sounded like it. No, but it sounded like it was people were like, oh no, it's really good stuff, but there's just so many shows.
This one wasn't like it's on Prime, but it's not a Prime show. It's
Oh.
like a BBC show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but it's really great, and it's like, yeah, very tense, and it's also like a lot of it's filmed in like the Mediterranean, so it's also just a very pretty movie or show to watch too. So I watched that. I went to go see Alien in theater.
Oh, you did go?
I went, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's why I was telling you about it.
Yeah, like I said, I just looked for Friday shows because that's 4/26, and then I was like,
it was playing on the whole weekend, I guess.
yeah.
So was The Mummy because it was the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
I didn't go see The Mummy because I just watched it, but I did go see Alien. I was surprised by how little of the movie I remembered. Like I thought it started.
Alien 1, right?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
I thought that like it started with the chest burster.
That's Alien 2.
Yeah, no, I also watched Alien 2 afterwards because I had to.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it started like on the ship, chest burster, and then it was just like 2 hours of Ripley running around the ship. So, no, it's a really great movie. There's so many people in it that I forgot was in it, like Bilbo and what's his name, John Hurt.
Yeah.
And then but it was funny because when they go down to the planet at the beginning where they find the eggs and stuff, it's so dark and so quiet and like just kind of like the sounds of like breathing basically that I was falling asleep because it's just like it was almost like spa music.
Yeah.
It's just like
I don't know if you noticed. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
Because I love Alien, and the scene where John Hurt has the chest burster out of him, I'm sure you could, like in the theater, I was like the heartbeat, like it's in the soundtrack, and it's just like that thumping, like I don't know, it's so clever, and just like you're like, what is happening, and then you can just hear this dun 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 dun, and then before anything happens, I don't know, I just like it's pretty cool.
I'd also say like 99% of the special effects hold up. The only one that looks stupid is when the chest burster comes out and he's like, he's like a cat with zoomies.
Yeah.
Then after I watched that, I went home. I went and I watched Aliens, which is also great. It's funny how like those two movies are different genres, but they still fit together so well. Like they have the same soul, I guess, even though one's a horror and one's like an action.
Sci-fi action, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure, I don't know if you know, but this has been an oft-repeated story that it's like James Cameron's pitch for Aliens was literally he walked into the boardroom and wrote Aliens and then made the S a dollar sign, and like that was his pitch.
I didn't know that. I did know that like there was a lot of problems with production and the crew and cast hated him, and he had to like beg Sigourney Weaver to come back for it. But I didn't know that was pretty excellent.
I mean, that's like as James Cameron as you get.
Yeah.
That's what he's done with like, all the Avatar movies, where he's like, "Hey, give me $4 billion," and they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Avatar."
That plus like I need a submarine to go down and look at the Titanic. And they're like, "Oh, you're gonna make a movie about it?" And he's like, "I don't know."
Maybe. It's gonna cost you $4 million.
So yeah, that was great. I recommend both those movies.
I also watched both of them just at home.
Nice. And And then I was in a Sigourney Weaver mood, so I rewatched Galaxy Quest, which I haven't seen in like 20 years. And it's still great. That movie holds up. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, what an excellent movie.
It's
so good.
I watched it with someone who'd never seen it before.
Oh, really?
So that was fun too.
Sure.
Yeah.
But is this person also like fan of like Trek or Stargate or any of those kind of shows as well, or no?
Definitely Alien fan.
Right.
But I don't know about Star Trek, but
yeah, because that's obviously the direct parody, right?
Yeah. It was funny though, because he was like, when we were watching, he's like, "What year did this come out?" And I'm like, "I don't know, like 99 or something," because everything good came out in 99. And then he's like, "Oh, so it was after the Alien movies." I'm like, yeah.
yeah, I mean, technically true.
Yep. And then I haven't really watched. Oh no, that's right. I watched Poor Things. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, you were talking about that. No.
Man, it was weird and good. It reminded me so much of Terry Gilliam, but like Terry Gilliam on acid. Like like The Adventures of Baron Munchausen or like Time Bandits, like that era of Terry Gilliam, not like the Brothers Grimm stuff that he did. It was just like very cool, very like stylized steampunk, but like not in a corny way. Like I think like yeah, it's really easy to go into corny with steampunk, but it's kind of like just kind of cool Victorian, but like alternative Victorian. And it was really neat because I watched like a brief thing about like behind the scenes, but it had these amazing skylines in it. Like they're like the clouds looked so real but like surreal at the same time. And apparently they had a big LED screen that they had like put up and had the clouds on that. So it was kind of a practical effect and kind of not. Like it was kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of the skyline is replaced in CG, but they built a lot of the sets as well. I was watching a VFX breakdown as well that the Corridor crew did.
Oh yeah. No, the director is saying that it's like an LED screen that they did for the sky.
Not all of it, but some of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think that's such a cool thing to do.
Sure.
Emma Stone was great in it because I don't know if you know the story, but without spoiling too much, she's an adult woman with a baby's brain in her head. Like an adult woman dies, and Willem Dafoe, as a mad scientist, puts a baby's brain into her head.
Yeah, that's all I knew.
Okay, so there's like parts where she's walking around and she's walking like a toddler.
Yeah.
And like the way she speaks is like a toddler, right? So it's kind of interesting. Really well done. Willem Dafoe was great in it because like who would be better at being a mad scientist? And Mark Ruffalo's in it, and I normally dislike him. Like even as like the Hulk, I just think he's so bland. Like I don't understand the appeal of him. He was so good in this movie. I liked him in this movie. I guess maybe all the things I've seen him in were the wrong roles for him or something, but
yeah, or maybe he's better in his more dramatic roles versus like you say like the Hulk or whatever.
He played like a kind of like a playboy asshole. And he just did it really well. And he like crumbles psychologically over the course of the film.
Nice.
Yeah. It was great. I recommend it.
Cool.
And then I think that's it. I haven't watched. Oh, I mean, like one more thing. There was a really cool episode of The Daily about AI. I sent you a link to it, but I don't know if you listened to it. But it was like the past of AI and how like how the AI has learned to do stuff. And it just was interesting. That's all.
Cool.
Yeah. They've a lot of copyright issues with AI.
Yeah, that they don't want to deal with.
Yeah, they just keep feeding it everything.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll figure it out later. And then people are like, no, you'll figure it out now. And they're like, no, no, no.
Yeah, basically, they've essentially gotten away with it.
And now they're like running out of stuff to like give AI to learn from. So they're going to generate texts by AI to feed to AI.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, just
Not good.
yeah. Do you ever use like ChatGPT or anything?
Huh?
I
What would
do.
I use it for?
So I've been using it for creating like a schedule to help me study. So I put all the tasks that I need to do, and then I'm like, please make me a schedule. I have 2 hours to complete this. And then I just find that it works well for me because I'm like, well, I got to set a timer on my phone because ChatGPT said that I can only work on this for 15 minutes. But I've been getting a ton of shit done that way.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. You want to talk about Civil War now?
Sure.
Yeah. So, first off, did you like it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like, and this wasn't the movie's fault, maybe there'll be others, but I could hear the music from the theater itself piping into my movie during all the silence in the movie, and I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah. I didn't experience that luckily, so
Yeah.
it wasn't an issue for me.
Oh yeah, that was one of my issues.
I did. Okay, can we get into spoilers right away? Because there's something I kind of want to mention before I forget.
Sure. Spoilers for the movie then. We
Yes.
both liked it. Go see it.
We both liked it. It was great. I don't know how much I can say about that, but
yeah.
So for me, the most uncomfortable scene in the movie was when Sunglasses military guy.
Yeah,
What's
like the
his name?
main
Jesse?
scene everyone talks about.
Yeah, yeah. So when he was there, and they've got the dump truck full of bodies, and
yeah,
he's shooting the Asian men. After that scene, like how it follows by them driving through the kind of forest fire, and it's very beautiful and quiet.
Yeah.
About 20 people got up and left the theater.
After that scene?
After during when they're driving. So like right after the dump truck scene.
Yeah, I thought they drove through the fire before the dump truck scene.
No, because guy's bleeding out at that point.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, 20 people got up, didn't come back.
Really?
Yeah. So I've been really cautious about who I've been recommending this movie to, because I'm like, if you are not good with uncomfortable shit like that, this is not the movie for you.
Yeah, well, and I was joking around with some people about that, like movies like Oppenheimer as well, where I'm like, it was one of the best movies I've seen. I could never recommend it to anybody though, but if you're if you ever aware of what you're gonna go into, go see it.
yeah, but yeah, you and I are both pretty familiar with Alex Garland properties that
yeah.
Not that you ever know what to expect with him, but we probably have a better idea than people that saw the trailer and thought that it looked like a mainstream war movie. Because the trailer...
Yeah, I know. I meant to watch the trailer before we started recording because I've never watched it.
The trailer makes it look like a mainstream action movie almost, right? So it's I was before the movie, I'm like, well, I can't wait till the final third when things go weird, even though it didn't really do that the way he normally does. But yeah, that scene, 20 people at least 20 in the theater, in the sold out theater, got up and left. I don't know if they went and got their money back or if they just went home and cried, but yeah, it was like a mass exodus.
That's crazy. Because it's it's a rated R movie, and like you said, it's an Alex Garland thing. But that, leaving that aside, it's a rated R movie, and it probably has hey, it's got violence and swear words in it or whatever. It's you got to be ready for that kind of thing. But I saw it I went to the VIP, so nobody left. Yeah. Everyone was glued to the movie.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, maybe it's because I went to at a normal.
Oh no, yeah, but I find that fascinating because I've seen, people. I think you're saying, people are like, "What was this? It wasn't a thing," or apparently it was in some areas in the States where people are like, yeah, it's gonna be like this big epic thing, and it's like it's not that, right?
Yeah,
So
it's not. No.
yeah, it's not that where it's not like a big hoorah like America. It's like no, it's not that.
The opposite.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I also, before I forget, that soundtrack was one of the best, like, or just like best sound design and best like I would never want to listen to it, but it did such a good job of like being tense.
Yeah, I was trying to find a copy of the tracks of like the non needle drop tracks, right? Like the guitar that they did and stuff like that, because that's the same Jeff Barrow and Ben Salisbury who did all this other stuff, like Annihilation, etc. And so, like, I own the Annihilation soundtrack and the
Nice.
and the Men one and stuff like that, right? So, but I couldn't find it, unfortunately for this. And the sound department, because I knew you highlighted it, I could find the names. Ben Barker was the co-supervising sound editor. Glenn Fremantle was the sound designer, and Nick Fremantle also sound designer. So,
the gunshots sounded like gunshots.
yeah, so they were the last two names. They were supervising sound editors and sound effects editors as well. So I was like, I know Devin was hyped about the sound.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that when I said the gunshots sounded like gunshots, it was very like Willy Wonka, the snozzberry taste of snozzberry.
Sure, no, but I know what you mean, right? Because there are some movies, like it's firearms are a thing because they're insanely loud, right? Like you've been near a firearm, like you have to wear head earplugs and you can still hear it, and because they're insanely loud, and that's something that bothers me many times in movies where I'm like I get it's suspension of disbelief, but it's like sometimes you can have that really deep sound like that, but like for a bigger caliber, but like even a 22 or a 45 especially, like that's a big bullet that makes a lot of noise.
Yeah, I don't know, the way that they did the gun, like they weren't, so I would jump, but they weren't like jump scare like shots. It was just like, this is what a gunfire sounds like.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was saying like that super deep one is used in movie effects, but it's not. It's more like that crack, that high pitched crack sound.
Yeah.
Is what you would hear, because that's the bullet breaking the sound barrier. So.
Yeah. No, I just thought they did a great job with that. Yeah. Okay, those are the two things that I wanted to get out of the way. Now you go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, like we mentioned, of course, it was written and directed by Alex Garland. I thought this was kind of interesting. The budget was listed as $50 million so far. The domestic box office made $56.2 million. And initially, it didn't have a worldwide figure. It's made $16 million in the international market, but A24 sold the distribution rights for foreign markets before the movie even came out.
Oh, wow.
So they had already recouped some of their money. How much? I don't have a figure, but they had some already recouped already. So, minus some marketing and stuff like that, it's done well-ish. Is successful? I don't know. But what I thought was kind of interesting as well, I'm sure you've noticed, it's like essentially, it's like the Devs crew plus Kirsten Dunst, right?
Were there people from Devs in it?
Well, Nick Offerman, of course, was from Devs. The woman who plays Kaylee, who plays Jessie, the young reporter, she was in Devs. She was the young, like, genius one who, like, falls off the dam in Devs.
Oh, shit!
Yeah. The whole time I was watching it, I was like, have I seen this girl before? Or this woman? I couldn't recognize, blah, blah, blah. And I looked it up. I was like, she was her in Devs. And then Stephen McKinley Henderson, Sammy, he was, of course, in Devs as well.
He was?
Big programmer guy. Yeah, he was there like the whole show. He would always just show up to give like, one or two lines of wisdom.
I don't know who. Sorry, Sammy was the older reporter.
Yes. So the other guy, her partner, Wagner Moura, Joel was his name. I don't think he's been in another. He might have been in another project, but he was definitely not in Devs, I don't think.
He was so good.
Yeah, and he was. What was great about the movie, and we'll get into more of it, but like this, like that dichotomy, of course, that he was like amped to go, like, we're gonna go film some war footage, and then at the end it's like, oh no, we're filming more footage.
Yeah. Kirsten Dunst's character and like the younger reporters.
Jesse. Yeah.
And yeah, how they kind of switch roles like at the end was just like like it was funny because the person I saw it with was like, well, I don't understand why Kirsten Dunst couldn't handle her shit at the end, and I'm like, well, why can't you understand that? Like she's seen horrific things for like the past several weeks. She's been anticipating this moment for ages, and now she's finally there. So there's probably like some excitement and as well. And she's watching her country fall apart. And like I don't feel particularly patriotic. Like I like living in Canada because I like free healthcare and stuff. But I think if I witnessed that, I would fucking break down. Like,
well, and like you're saying, it's not only that, is that, and she says it a couple times throughout the movie as well, is that where she's been and what she's done and what she's seen all those, like that's all stacked up. Like she's been watching regimes and civil wars her whole life, taking these pictures that, like you said, when it's finally like on her doorstep, it's kind of messing with her a little bit.
Yeah. And that sequence where she, at the beginning, where she's taking the bath in the hotel and she's like remembering all the things she's taken pictures of, that like was so beautiful to watch and so horrific to watch. Like when that guy has the tire that's like tied him down and he's getting lit on fire. Yeah. Jesus Christ, that was so beautiful. It's so horrific. Like the way it's shot is fucking Alex Garland, right? Like the way it's shot is like, wow, that is so aesthetically pleasing, and the subject of it is so horrific that I want to cry.
And like shouting out, Rob Hardy was his DP, director of photography. He's also worked with him on Annihilation and other projects.
Yeah, of course he did.
Yeah, no, it's like his whole crew. I was looking it up and I was just like clicking on the name and it's like, also this, also this, also this. I was like, and that makes perfect sense. He's worked with these people. He likes them and what have you. And like you said, he knows what I'm going to get. Hey, if we're going to film the sequence of this horrible fire, this guy's going to nail it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. The other shot that really stuck in my head was when they're driving, which I know is 90% of the movie. There's like a shot of like they're going like an overpass and it says like go Steelers, and then when you like just focus a little bit more, there's two like corpses hanging off the other side of it, but like it just looks like a beautiful shot of like an overpass, and then you're like, holy shit, there's two corpses hanging off the side of that, this is terrible, and then you're also like, oh, it's beautiful.
One sequence and shot I like, just again highlighting the Kirsten Dunst as well, as the sniper situation where she lays down and just essentially like goes to sleep, whereas Jesse is like amped up taking pictures of the the snipers and stuff like that, and because Kirsten Dunst again says, she's like, this is not my story, I'm not here to photograph this, and so she's just like, I'll just chill. But it's just kind of like, it's an interesting dichotomy again where it's just like she's relaxed in this situation whereas everyone else is like crazy amped because of the situation, and she's just like, well, it's not what I'm here for, so meh.
Oh, that was a good movie.
But like basic plot, like we are just saying, there's a despot / dictator in the White House, and so America has essentially fallen into a civil war. Some states are involved, some states aren't involved, and Kirsten Dunst and her partner Joel, they're gonna go photograph the president because they're like, everything, that's the last story, no one knows what's going on with this guy, we're gonna get in there, at least get an interview with him. That's the original idea. And so, like you said, they're gonna road trip because they're starting in New York, but because of the war, they can't just take like a direct route. They got to go all the way around a few states, and then so we get like any kind of movie or situation like this, Apocalypse Now and Hostiles, or it's like, we're gonna be on the road, something horrible is gonna happen, and then we're gonna be on the road some more. And so
I can't get over how good Joel was in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
He was like a highlight for me. Like I think he's like, he was just so great in it. Yeah. But anyways, keep going. Sorry.
No, I was saying that's essentially it until we get to the end, and I just liked so many of the things are sort of foreshadowed, and so many things, like you said, it's like that flip where Kirsten doesn't want anyone else to come, but then Jesse is hitching a ride because she finds out about it, and then Sammy is also going to come because he wants to go to the front lines, but not go the whole distance. And Kirsten Dunst as well is like, we're going to drop Jesse off at the front lines. They're not coming with us, to the final end. But they get to the front lines and they find out, oh, the war is essentially over. They're going to surrender.
Yeah.
We got to go now with these other troops. So they all end up going to Washington, aside from, of course, unfortunately, Sammy, who gets shot along the way, saving their lives from sunglasses, as you said.
What's his name? Jesse?
Isn't it like Plemons or something like that? I didn't look it up. He's
Kirsten Dunst's real life husband.
I was about to say they're married, yeah.
I loved the like fatigues with the very like flamboyant glasses. It's a good look.
Yeah, no, and again, it just kind of, like you said, the country at different spots that they stop at, like even the first war scene that we see. So it's like, it's guys in like Hawaiian shirts and stuff like that fighting against people in fatigues. So it's like, was that Western Army forces fighting against like the government forces?
Yeah.
And then, or not, and then they come around to the other side. Now they're embedded with the Western forces attacking the other people. So it's like, they're just there. Supposedly, they're just reporters. We're just going to report the story. But like you said, Joel's palling around with them. They're having a drink after. But it's like,
even before that scene, when they stopped for gas.
Yeah.
I was so worried for Jesse. Like I was. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, she's gonna die.
I almost thought, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking more maybe an assault type situation, and I was like, dude, are we seriously gonna about to see this? Because I don't want that.
Yeah, no, I saw that too. And then the other part was when she jumped cars. I thought that there was gonna be like a sexual assault scene there too, and I was just like, I don't want to see that. But luckily, Alex Garland, the closest he's ever got to a sexual assault scene, I guess you could count. Oscar Isaac in Ex Machina if you really wanted to, but other than that, it would be like The Priest and Men, where he's just being like a fucking creep. You don't actually see any like. Yeah. So I was glad that he didn't go that route, because I was just like, I don't want to watch that. But then it was almost like when you do see what like it's that.
Just that. Yeah, it's just that. Well, and I liked it too because it was like you said, the first stop, that it was like smacking her right in the face, where it's just like, hey, this is real out here, and this guy is either threatening both of you and making you make a life death decision right now.
But then Kirsten Dunst just handles it, because what they do is they go for gas. They have to pay a lot of Canadian money to get gas.
Yeah. And
Jesse saw something when they were pulling in, and what she saw was that down at the car wash there was two corpses, or we think are corpses, hanging. And so she goes down to look, and one of the guys at the gas station, who has a big gun and is creepy looking, follows her, and then we see that those guys aren't dead. They've been kept alive and they're being tortured. But Kirsten Dunst follows, and she diffuses the situation by being like, do you want to get a picture? Can I get a picture of you? Can you stand in between them with your gun? It was.
Well, because just before Kirsten Dunst kind of comes up, the creepy guy is telling Jesse, being like, well, we don't know what to do with him. Maybe we should shoot him. Maybe we should just leave him there. And he's like, you decide. Yeah. And she's like, freaked out, obviously. Yeah. But then, like you said, after the next kind of scene in them in the car is we find out that the guy shot them, and Jesse's kind of freaked out about that fact, and Dunst is like, well, he probably was going to do it anyway. It's not really your fault, but essentially kind of is her fault.
But then, like, maybe that was better for them anyways.
Yeah, not being strung up and tortured. Yeah.
Yeah. Alex Garland. I hope he gets therapy. Maybe this is his therapy.
Making movies is his therapy. But yeah, and like you said, the story continues. We get some different glimpses. Like I said, they stop at a war situation, or a fight anyway, sorry. And then they stop at like a refugee camp kind of thing. And then the story progresses until eventually they get to, Mr. Sunglasses, which that came, like the way it built, like I wasn't expecting that. And then it was just like, oh my, like it was literally probably the most tense scene in a long time I've ever seen.
I don't know anyone that could deliver so much menace with the question, what kind of American are you?
Yeah.
I was trying to explain that scene to somebody, and they're like, and I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah. Well, and also at that point too, like, because can't remember, like, we did get some flashes of where they were, and we were told their route's going to go like to here or whatever, but it's like, and then yeah, like I was saying, like some states are in, some states are out, so like they're like, oh, what were they expecting to find? Like, is this guy supposed to be there? And they're even like, look, he just probably killed they probably killed a whole town. Like, we should not approach this situation.
Yeah.
But they're like, we got to, because Jesse and our friend are over there. And they're like, crap. and
I felt it when the guy with the long hair, like the Asian man with the long hair, that not the one that got shot first.
The second one?
The second one, when he was like crying and freaking out, I was just like, oh, my stomach was dropping. Like, I did not feel good about that. I understand, I guess, why people walked out.
Sure. Well, and for me, like, obviously it's terrible, and then Sammy comes in with the save, but then when Jesse lands in the pit, and I was just like, oh, nice. I wasn't expecting that part, because we get full on in her POV, essentially, where like, oh, I'm in a pit of corpses.
Yeah, and again, it looks like really aesthetically pleasing, and it's incredibly horrific.
And then it moves on to Washington. They go in with the troops, and like you said earlier, Lee. Well, there was a stop early. Yeah, that's when they're in a town that's supposedly not in the war, but there's snipers around, and they try to take a moment. She tries on a dress to be like, oh, hey, I'm not always in combat mode, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, they end up in Washington with some troops, and like you're saying, just the way it kind of plays out. My favorite part about it, well, one of my favorite parts about it, was how Sammy at the beginning of the movie is like, they're like, hey, we're gonna go interview the president. And he's like, look, all these dictators disappoint. He's like, every time they pull them out of a bunker, they're terrible, blah blah blah. And then, like I said, at the end, I just love that where I have it here. Joel is, I need a quote. Offerman, please don't let them kill me. Yeah, that'll do. And then he just walks away.
Yeah.
Like, that's his big quote. I was a dictator, and he's just like, don't let him kill me.
Yeah. I mean, that even like, I don't know how, I assume you stayed for the credits, but watching that photo develop was so good.
It was a nice, like, poignant, like, period on it.
Absolutely, yeah. With the like all the soldiers like being happy around him and stuff too. Oh my god, it's really good.
I was.
Are you disappointed though that Kirsten Dunst had no hobbies?
Outside of photography?
Sorry, for those who haven't listened to our Alex Garland episode, Dan reads reviews of Alex Garland properties to me.
Oh, and I got some coming up.
Oh, good. I'm excited. Yeah. And one of them was like, I hate Debs because the main character has no hobbies.
Yeah.
She's a Garland girl.
Sonoya Mizuno, who appears in this movie as well as a reporter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, who does?
Sonoya Mizuno.
Oh, I was wondering, was she the one that they met at the camp?
Yeah.
That was like, I liked Sammy too, and then Joel's like, fuck off.
Yeah, no, that was her. And she's been in, like you said, she's been in Devs, she's been in Ex Machina, she's been in was she in Annihilation? I don't think she was.
She was in Men as the telephone operator.
Yeah.
I think she was she was in Annihilation. She plays Natalie Portman's body double, doesn't she?
That's right. That's what I was saying. She's at the end, the alien, but she's not in a speaking role. Yes,
yeah. But she still appears in all of his stuff. Yeah. Are they married or something?
I don't know.
Like, she's a good actress, but I'm just wondering if that's why, like, or if they're just like really good friends or something.
Yeah, probably.
Or if she owes him a life debt, and so he keeps putting her in stuff, and she's like, I don't want to be an actress, Alex, leave me alone. It's like, but I saved your life. Now get in this movie.
Remember these lines. Yeah. No, I was say I have a couple cool stuff from like some variety and behind the scenes stuff is talking about like so when that limo comes out and they shoot the heck out of it, the was it I forget the person now. One of the set people anyway was like I wasn't there that day, but he's like I came the next day, and she's like they shot the shit out of that limo like for real. They're like
Nice.
you know they're like they weren't fooling around. They blew that limo up, and apparently Tyler Perry has a 3-story stucco replica of the White House as a set in Atlanta. So they used his set for the exteriors and 2 rooms and like the upper floor, Dolly Mason room and the press room. But then when they wanted to do their stuff, they rented a different replica with wider hallways. Sorry, so they didn't want to mess up Tyler Perry's set, so they rented another set they could mess up.
That's so random.
Yeah, I didn't know that as well. I was like, Tyler Perry has a big White House replica set, apparently.
All right.
And then the costume designer, I thought this was a funny anecdote as well. Casper Link wanted to make a like military, vintage military jacket for Kirsten Dunst, right? Like a Ralph Lauren style or whatever. And they wanted, of course, multiples they need for it. And so she was trying to like find some material, couldn't find anything she liked. She found placemats at Target that she really liked.
Oh, nice.
And so they started to make the jacket put together, and then they wanted to get more placemats. Target doesn't make those anymore, so they had to go to like eBay and Etsy to try to buy like these placemats and stuff like that.
Jesus Christ, that's hilarious.
The base of the jacket is a placemat, the sleeves are a table runner, and then they dyed it and aged it.
Nice.
Yeah. I always just find stuff like that is always funny. I don't know. Yeah. Anything else you want to say or talk about the movie itself?
I mean, like.
Do you want to talk about the climax with Lee? I guess.
What?
The climax with Lee. We didn't really say.
Who's Lee?
Kirsten Dunst. Sorry.
Oh, that's her name.
That's her name.
I'm so bad with name. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
I know we've talked about spoilers, but like the ending is powerful.
Yeah, sure. And again, very, very poignant. And like you said, just like the way that the roles shift, I guess.
Yeah. You know, I really enjoyed this movie. I won't be in a hurry to see it again. I will watch it again eventually, but like not in a hurry. Like I think I need some time to just because of how horrific some of the things in it is, and I'm a soft girl at heart. But I don't think I can convey how beautiful this movie is. Like it's so aesthetically pleasing, and it sounds great, and it's just like it's like a masterclass in beautiful filmmaking, but it's also incredibly horrific. I don't know. I've said the same thing like 30 times now. Like I really enjoyed it. It's not for everyone.
No, but like you said, it's also I'm sure because he had it's A24 situation. Like it was his vision in the way that so like shots could be like breathed out. Like I said, that scene where Kirsten Dunst lying down in the sniper situation having a nap, it like soft focuses out so you just get bokeh into like nothing. Whereas I'm sure like no studio would let that happen. Right? Yeah. They'd be like, no, you can't do that. But that's part of its aesthetic is like this fading out of the world and everything blurring together and you know this dreamlike situation they're involved in. They're in a civil war. Like you're gonna start losing your mind, right?
Oh, I did think it was interesting how you never really know, like there's no hard stance on what side they're on.
Like the reporters?
Well, anybody in the like you can't really always tell like. I mean, until the end, like, you know, like, is Jesse Clement Sunglasses Man, is he, like, pro-president or anti-president?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier, too, is, like, we don't know what side some of the fighting is involved. Like, we get, there's the one quick kind of news report where they're like, California and Texas, that's the Western forces, they teamed up to fight. Yeah. And then you get, like, Florida's doing something.
Also hilarious, because I can't see California and Texas teaming up for anything.
You want to hear Alex Garland's quote about it?
Yeah.
He said that the pairing of California and Texas was in part to obfuscate the politics, but more importantly, that these two states put aside their political differences to challenge an unconstitutional and fascistic, corrupt president who is killing American civilians. He said, "Are you saying extremist politics would always remain more important than a president of this sort? That sounds crazy to me."
Okay.
So he's got an optimistic outlook.
I think he also did it because he didn't want anybody, like, if he had made a very, like, pro-left-wing movie, or pro-right-wing movie, there could have been shootings in movie theaters. In the States, right? But I feel like he didn't make it, like, you could read whatever you wanted to read into it, right? You could be like, oh yeah, the president was obviously Democratic, or a Democrat, or the president was obviously a Republican. You make it whatever you want, and I think that was smart.
Well, and this was interesting. I was reading an article by Scott Tobias from, what do I get? The Reveal, I think his stuff is called. Anyway, and he was talking about that where, like, I have a big paragraph here, but we've been talking enough. I'll just summarize. But basically, he was saying that most Alex Garland movies, set in that kind of way, he's not about the fall. It's the aftermath. 28 Days Later, Dread, Ex Machina, Devs. It's all like something horrible happened, and now we're dealing with the after, and we're just living in this situation now. And Civil War is that same continuation. We're in this near-end Civil War. We don't see the beginning. We don't see the middle of it. It's near the end. Right? So, and that's kind of what his thing was.
Yeah, I guess even Men, it's like after her husband kills himself. Yeah. I still think this movie didn't stick with me the same way Men did.
Sure.
I think that Men is his best movie.
Really?
And I know that people don't agree. It's not my favorite movie. I think Ex Machina is my favorite movie that he's done, but I do think that Men is his best movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. I know that people hate it. It's his lowest rated movie.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Like I've said, a friend of mine mentions it every time I see her. She's like, I think about Men like once a month. She's like, that movie sticks with you.
Wait, is that me?
No, someone else.
What?
Yeah.
Someone else is like obsessed with Men and you haven't introduced me to them? It's so good.
Yeah. I don't know if they're obsessed with it because they also think it's really good, or if they're just like the themes are just getting your head.
Well, it's so like, it's hard not to think about Men. No, it is like whether you're thinking about like what did the ending mean, for example, or like, I don't know, was it real? Was it not real? That kind of thing. What was the Green Man? Why was that involved? What's going on? Which way's up? Why did Alex Garland make this movie?
Well, and just because, like I said, we've been going kind of along, like I did pull some 1-star reviews that I thought were kind of funny. This was just after the movie came out, like literally like the Monday or Tuesday afterwards. I pulled some 1-star reviews from Letterboxd, and I just thought they were kind of funny. I'll just read a few of them here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, this one here. Can't wait to dissect Garland's brain while he's still alive. What is he fucking doing, man? Nice and short. Nice and short. This one here, a little longer. Completely tasteless and far more interested in exploiting our political landscape for thrills than even attempting to make any sort of intelligent political statement. This is only getting as high a rating as I'm giving it because of Kirsten Dunst's performance. I could feel my blood boiling over the whole watch. Second paragraph. Political grievances aside, just some of the most infuriating stupid character choices throughout. The president's best strategy was to hide under his desk and hope no one would check there, I guess. And every decision the movie photojournalist made was so stupid. Glad that a career in witnessing gruesome violence and meaningless death didn't stop those two dudes from following in that van from uncritically risking their lives for dude bro antics. Ugh, just ugh.
Did they watch the same movie?
Yeah, this next one makes me really question that, where it says, is this one? Yeah, like, okay, so this film exists, a truly tepid experience. The decision to follow 4 journalists through a fictitious civil war did not pay off as the characters were well and truly obnoxious. Imagine you're being burnt alive or bleeding out and have one of these 4 goons simply getting in the way, not intervening, and even worse, putting a camera in your face and subsequently promptly moving on. Which, literally, Kirsten Dunst has a speech about that.
Yeah. Maybe they left the theater.
Maybe they did, yeah. Yeah, another one just basically being about like how like, oh, I'm not interested in the trials and tribulations of photojournalists, especially the self-pretentious and self-righteous. Yeah.
Why did you go to the movie, you fucking idiot?
Also, armies that permit the existence of journalists generally do not commit blatant war crimes and directly in front of them. Actually, they do. We have all sorts of evidence about that.
Guess what? We have photo evidence of that by photojournalists.
Yeah. And then basically it goes on about like, oh, like the combat scenes didn't make any sense. And then I like this final line: "You want something good involving war journalists? Go watch Generation Kill."
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it was a miniseries done by the guy who made The Wire, and it follows a journalist who's embedded with some soldiers in Desert Storm.
Is it good?
Yeah, super good. It's like 6 episodes. It's super, super good.
Was that last one written by a dude by any chance?
I didn't pull their names.
Okay. Like, I wonder
if
it's... I mean, I'm assuming that one's, like, it's got a male lead.
Generation Kill?
Yeah.
Well, it's all guys. Because it's in the first Iraq War, so there was no women soldiers at that time.
So is he just mad that, like, there was a lady journalist? I mean, I don't want to make it about that, but sometimes I wonder when people, like, write stuff like that, like, like, this is bad, this one's good, and it's like, oh, the one with the half women female cast is bad, and the one with the all men cast is good.
Well, and also Generation Kill was 6 episodes, so that gives you a little more time to develop things. Versus an under 2-hour movie.
Apples and oranges, baby.
Yeah. Well, and I'll just read out this last one. I think it's a little long as well. It starts kind of funny though, but this is one of the worst films I've watched in a very long time. It was so goddamn provocative on how stupid these journalists can be. I'm sure he needs a different word, maybe. I expected so much better from Alex Garland. So disappointed in the fact that the theme ideas of civil war can be explored in so many different other ways than having journalists as a medium. First part in the second part of the movie had no damn connection. With the short runtime, there are already scenes that are so wasteful and not needed in the movie because it doesn't add anything to the character or story at all. The only good thing about the movie is the cinematography, the sound effect, and the imagery that it produces, but that's the only thing that is good.
I don't understand. It's Alex Garland's style to, like, have, like, breathers in between intense scenes.
Yeah.
So that they're intense still. Like.
Yeah, it's the exact same kind of thing with Annihilation as well. There'll be an intense scene and then a breather and then an intense scene and then a breather. That's how you...
I think of any scene that was unnecessary in that movie.
Well, and that's what was so interesting. Maybe because for me as well, like you were saying with the dude bros that come up in the truck, like it was just unexpected. That I was just like, the way this movie was developing, like everything that happened was essentially unexpected, except for the end assault, because you're like, he tells you, we're going to assault this place. And you're like, okay. But everything else, I was just like, I don't know what's going to happen.
No, everything was a surprise in the whole thing. Also, like, saying that Civil War was wasted because it's photojournalism or journalists that you're following, like, that's the story Alex Garland wanted to tell.
Sure.
Right? Like, it's not like this was a book that existed that he adapted and then he decided to make it about photojournalists instead of soldiers. Like, he wanted to tell the story of photojournalists during a civil war.
Well, and it acted as a kind of a neat in for us, the audience, because, like you said, we're not kind of involved with one side or the other. Like Kirsten Dunst even says, is like, that's not our job. Our job is supposed to take the pictures. We tell the people how horrible it is.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that was an interesting medium to explore this idea.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
Weird. People are weird.
Well, and again, I think
I get that I don't like every movie that I see. And like I was bored and immaculate until the demon baby showed up at the end.
Sure. But this again going back to what you were saying, like, you know, mismarketing, people reading into it more than they think. They're like, oh man, the Civil War is gonna be badass, and it's like, no, it's just 4 reporters going across the country.
Yeah. That's I mean, I was expecting people not to like it because 20 people walked out of my theater. It was so weird, Dan. That just like watching these people stand up and leave and not come back. It's like, what's going on? Why are you guys going?
Yeah, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Movie's not over.
I walked out of Bruno. Do you remember that movie Bruno?
I never saw it, but I remember it existing.
It was Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
As a like really like offensive stereotype of a gay fashion designer. And he goes to a psychic, and this is the part I walked out on. He goes to a psychic and he like is like filleting ghost Milli Vanilli or something, and I was just like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see like a weird straight guy like making a real person uncomfortable. I don't know. It's just like I don't care for those types of movies. And I understand that lots of people think they're very, very funny. So I guess I can understand that also people wouldn't like very good movies because they like very bad movies. I get it, it's subjective, blah, blah, blah. It's a hard watch, but it's a very good movie, and saying anything otherwise makes you look dumb. I'm just alienating people left, right, and center. All the Bruno fans are going to get mad at me.
Yeah, true. And did you ever watch Hostiles?
No.
I really liked it, and I've recommended it to a few people, but it's the same kind of thing like this, where it was like you know, their characters are going from point A to point B, and something terrible happens, and then we stop, you know, and then something terrible happens, and then they continue, and that's the movie for like 2 hours, and it never gets better. That's the whole point. It just degenerates and gets worse and worse and worse. It's the same thing in the Apocalypse Now, right? Like, it's the heart of darkness we're going to. We're not going to like, hey, right? And maybe I like those kinds of movies. So, like I said, I enjoy that. It had Kristen Bale in it. Great movie.
Oh, nice.
I think Jeffrey Wright might be in there too. Anyway, but so like this kind of movie, I didn't know that going in, but then as it started to reveal itself, like, it's like, okay, this road trip situation. I mean, like, I'm down for that kind of thing because, like you said, it follows that kind of, and just not every movie, but of this nature. But like you were saying, he takes the opportunity to like have some infill. Like you said, they're driving by some fire, or they're driving this, or like they're driving past something before the Dubros show up, and they're just driving. It's a nice forest, and then they see something, and then they're just like, just keep calm. We're just driving, not involved with anything here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there was just, there was some good stuff there. So I don't know. Like, I mean, we can't say its praises more enough. I enjoyed the hell out of it as well.
Yeah, I just like Alex Garland movies. That's what it comes down to. Maybe I'm biased. I'm just gonna like everything he does, which sucks because he's retiring now.
Well, he says he's not going to direct anymore, right?
Yeah, but I like what he directs.
But he can still write. He's written.
Yeah, but it's not going to be the same.
I understand, but he wrote like The Beach, and he wrote Dread, and
I know.
He wrote Sunshine, which is really good.
He didn't write The Beach. He wrote the novel that The Beach is based on.
Sorry, correction. Yes, yeah. But he wrote Sunshine, which is a really good movie.
He wrote 28 Days Later.
Yeah, so
Apparently, he like shadow directed Dread, which I've not seen, but.
You've never seen Dread? It's one of those movies. I didn't see it in theater because I like was boycotting 3D, which I still do, because it was only in 3D.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, if there was a non-3D, I definitely would have gone and seen it. But it is a beautiful movie. Like, I turn it on when I'm editing all the time. Like,
nice.
It without sound because I'm editing, but like the visuals are spectacular, and like Carl Urban is great. Lena Headey is great. The production design on it, because it was a lower budgeted movie, so relative, they'd only built like one hallway, and they had to like always rotate it and reset deck it and like change the lighting. But no, it's super well made. they did a lot of like, probably the same thing in this movie too, where the CG is there, but it's integrated well, or it's just like minor elements here and there. Like, there's some gunshots and stuff like that, and those are CG fine, but like, they're blowing up concrete, and you're like, oh, that's, production value.
Remember when Carl Urban walked by our booth at
I do remember
Fan Expo?
I yelled out "Dread rules."
Excellent.
But yeah, I think like you were saying, I was also disappointed about that announcement. But sometimes with these creative guys, maybe an idea in 5 years pops in, and he's like, you know what, maybe I want to direct this.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I would definitely still be on the lookout for potential writing projects that he gets involved in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But that means that he'll never realize my dream of him making Stepford Wives.
That's true. Well, again, maybe we should be sending this idea to him. Maybe he'll come out of retirement for it.
Yeah, Alex, make Stepford Wives. You're the only one who can.
I'll snip that and then send it to his manager or something.
Perfect. He would just do such a better job than anything that they've made for that book. Because the book's so... Have you read the book?
No, you've recommended it many times.
I should loan it to you, because you could read it in a night. Like, it's a novella. It's short, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
But it's so... It just... Reading it gives me Alex Garland vibes, and I don't know how else to explain that. Yeah. And also, Ira Leving's just a great writer, so you should read his shit.
Well, and like I said before, like Annihilation is like literally one of my favorite movies, and I was just like, make another one of that or something like that.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Just give me more sci-fi horror. Like Sunshine is essentially sci-fi horror until it becomes like sci-fi slasher, but it's like because it's about the horror of our sun.
Thanks.
Because when you think about it, our brains can't really comprehend it because the sun is ridiculous. So.
I bet you Alex Garland could make a good Alien movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Like, as long as they let him do what he wants.
Yeah. But... Yeah.
Ripley Scott, die. And Alex Garland can make a good Alien.
Someone else is working on another Alien movie right now. I think Scott's just producing.
Yeah.
Is he
it's
directing?
the guy that he directed Don't Blink. No, Don't Breathe. The movie about the kids that try to rob the
yeah.
into weirdness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's directing it. And then he also did the remake of Evil Dead. Yeah.
Sure, it was pretty good. The newest one. Maybe not the previous one. I don't know.
I didn't watch it. Because I like Evil Dead because I like Bruce Campbell.
Sure.
But I just want to watch Bruce Campbell. Well, I like Evil Dead 2 exclusively. I just want to watch...
Not even Army of Darkness?
It's okay.
Yeah.
I just prefer Evil Dead 2. I just, like, him fighting his evil hand is great.
Well, and just speaking about that, I've been listening to the Blank Check Sam Raimi series, and
nice.
Yeah, them talking about Evil Dead, of course.
Yeah.
And Dark Man and stuff like that, and essentially it was like, yeah, it was just Bruce was so down to do whatever Sam Raimi wanted, and the movies are just Sam Raimi torturing Bruce Campbell for
it's great.
Days on end.
Do you ever hear that, like, Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi, like, interview, I think it was, or something like that, where they're like, is Evil Dead 2 a sequel or a remake? And Sam Raimi's like, oh, it's definitely a remake. No one would be stupid enough to go back to that cabin. And Bruce Campbell's like, no, it's absolutely a sequel because Ash was that stupid.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I should finish watching Ash vs. the Evil Dead because I watched the first season and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't see past that, but I mean, like, you can't make a better show for me because it has Lucy Lawless in it as like a demon woman, and then it's got Bruce Campbell as Ash. So like, what more did I ask for?
That's one thing that's interesting with Sam Raimi is that he, after Army of Dark, like his movies weren't, as successful or whatever, he went and built a TV empire. by making Xena and Hercules.
Yeah.
Like,
Good
all
point.
like all those shows. Like the guy is essentially insanely wealthy because of a TV empire.
Yeah.
And then he came back and then made a few movies like A Simple Plan and a couple other things, and then eventually he gets Spider-Man. And it's interesting is that like the two movies we made before he made Spider-Man, not as successful, of course, but like it was like, oh, they're making like adult dramas and this and that kind of a thing. But it's like they didn't realize that in like 2 years he was about to change cinema essentially.
Yeah.
And he was accidentally the guy to do it because that wasn't his intention initially.
No.
He wanted to make these adult movies and like, kind of like the Coens were doing and stuff like that. And it's just like,
because he's buddies with them.
Yeah, he lived with them, and then he's just like,
and Frances McDormand, right? They all like live together.
Yeah, and then he makes Spider-Man and literally changes cinema.
I mean, the first two Spider-Man movies are so good.
So good. Like, there's no argument.
I don't think I've ever seen the end of the third one. I walked out.
The end of the third one actually is good, but by that I mean like the end. Just before the end.
I walked out during the dance scene.
Yeah, fair enough.
I was like, nope.
But yeah, no, just it's good episodes, the Sam Raimi stuff, of course, as well. But
that'd be fun.
Say, yeah, we should probably wrap up.
Yeah. Good point. Do you recommend this movie?
Well, I think we said it more than once. Yes.
I don't know who I would recommend this to, but if you like Alex Garland movies and you're not dumb, then you'll probably enjoy this.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, that's my caveat.
If you can't watch people suffering, don't watch this movie.
No, like I said, that's my caveat. It's like I highly recommend it, but like I don't know who to recommend it to. But,
yeah.
Or it's like I highly enjoyed it, but I could never recommend it because I don't know who to say to go see this movie. Like I'm not gonna tell my mom to go see this movie.
Yeah, no, right? Like.
Maybe my brother. Yeah.
I recommended it to my dad, but I was like, don't watch it with mom.
Yeah.
But now, now I'm thinking about it because I watched The Menu with my dad, and he really liked it, but he also was like pretty upset that John Leguizamo dies because he's like he's just an actor living his life. That's kind of mean.
I watched that. I watched it again. Yeah. No, that was on TV the other day, and I watched it. Man, that movie holds up. At least for me, it does.
Great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Holds up for me, anyway.
No, I love it. I love Anna Taylor-Joy and Nicholas Hoult together. They're a good pairing. Like a fine wine and a cheese.
To go with one of those fancy dishes they're eating.
Yes. The bread dish that has no bread.
Yeah.
God, that movie's good. Okay, we're wrapping it up.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, download all our other ones and rate and review us or something. Tell your friends. Give us a like and subscribe or whatever. Yeah. We're on all platforms of podcasting and also YouTube. And we have a website, which is tomeofuselessness.com. And we have an Instagram, which is @tomeofuselessness. And you could email us to tell us that your review was read out on the show and that you don't appreciate getting made fun of. So that would be tomeofuselessness@gmail.com.
I was going to say, or you can email your review of Civil War.
I'd like to read your review. You can tell me why I'm wrong and dumb about things. Oh, also, if you want to weigh in on the Demon Baby debate, you can also email us about that.
Sure.
I Googled that afterwards, eh?
Oh, yeah?
I Googled it, and it said it was meant to be ambiguous. So we got the right vibe by not agreeing.
There you go.
But then I saw another answer that said that was definitely a demon baby because it had horns and a tail. And it said, "I am the devil." So I was right.
This sounds biased.
That's it. We're leaving.
Yeah. Stay safe, and thanks for listening.
Bye.